There is a moment, quiet, often unnoticed, when the body begins to let go. Not suddenly, not like a switch being turned off, but gradually, like a system that has been running for decades, slowly dimming its lights, one by one. What happens in the human body as it approaches death is not chaos, as many imagine, but a deeply ordered biological process shaped by physiology, chemistry, and the limits of life itself. In the final hours to days, the body begins conserving energy. Systems that once operated effortlessly now prioritize only what is essential for survival. The digestive system is among the first to slow. Hunger fades, not out of neglect, but because the body no longer needs or can efficiently process food. Blood flow is redirected away from the stomach and intestines toward vital organs like the brain and heart. Even thirst diminishes. What may seem like suffering from the outside is often the body's way of easing its own burden. Breathing begins to change. It becomes irregular, sometimes rapid, sometimes shallow, with pauses that can last several seconds. This pattern, often called Cheyne-Stokes respiration, reflects a nervous system that is gradually losing its ability to regulate rhythm. Carbon dioxide levels rise and fall unpredictably, and the brainstem, responsible for automatic breathing, responds in uneven cycles. To an observer, it can appear distressing, but for the person experiencing it, awareness is often reduced, softened by the body's own neurochemical changes. As oxygen levels decline, the brain itself begins to shift. Neurons, highly sensitive to oxygen deprivation, start to function less efficiently. Consciousness becomes fragmented. There may be moments of clarity, followed by confusion or vivid dreams that blur the boundary between reality and imagination. Some individuals report seeing familiar faces, long-deceased loved ones, or landscapes that feel more real than the room they are in. While science continues to explore these experiences, they are thought to arise from changes in neural activity as the brain transitions away from sustained awareness. Circulation also undergoes a profound transformation. The heart, once steady and strong, begins to weaken. Blood pressure drops. The body redirects blood flow toward the core, away from the extremities. Hands and feet grow cold, sometimes taking on a bluish or mottled appearance as oxygen delivery decreases. This phenomenon is not random. It is a final act of preservation, an attempt to maintain function in the most critical organs for as long as possible. At the cellular level, the process becomes even more intricate. Cells rely on oxygen to produce energy through aerobic metabolism. When oxygen is no longer sufficient, they shift to anaerobic pathways, producing far less energy and accumulating byproducts like lactic acid. This leads to increasing acidity within tissues, disrupting normal cellular functions. Ion balances begin to fail. Electrical gradients collapse. Cells lose their ability to maintain structure, and membranes become permeable. It is not an instant shutdown, but a cascade, each system depending on another, each failure gently pulling the next toward stillness. The brain, however, remains central to the experience. In some cases, shortly before death, there is a surge of electrical activity, a phenomenon observed in both animal studies and limited human data. This surge may explain reports of sudden lucidity, where individuals who have been unresponsive briefly regain clarity, speak, or recognize loved ones. It is as though the brain, in its final moments, gathers what remains of its energy for one last expression of awareness. But not all deaths follow this slow, tapering path. Some occur with sudden, overwhelming force. Events like severe car collisions or penetrating trauma from a gunshot. In these moments, the body does not gradually wind down. It is abruptly disrupted. Yet even here, biology follows its own rules. In a high-impact collision, the forces involved can exceed what tissues are designed to withstand. Organs may be displaced or damaged within milliseconds. The brain, suspended within the skull, can experience rapid acceleration and deceleration, leading to what is known as traumatic brain injury. In its most severe form, this can immediately disrupt consciousness. Signals between neurons are interrupted, and the brain may no longer sustain awareness. From the outside, this appears as an instantaneous loss of consciousness. If the heart or major blood vessels are damaged, circulation can collapse within seconds. Blood pressure drops sharply, reducing oxygen delivery to the brain. This state, called hemorrhagic shock, deprives tissues of the oxygen they need to function. The brain, which requires a constant supply of oxygen, begins to shut down within seconds to minutes. Vision may narrow, hearing may fade, and consciousness slips away. Yet, even in rapid death, there are brief biological sequences. If the brain is not immediately destroyed, there may be a very short window, seconds, where the individual is aware of what has happened. The body may release a surge of stress hormones like adrenaline, heightening perception in those final moments. But as oxygen delivery fails or neural pathways are disrupted, consciousness fades quickly. In both gradual and sudden death, the underlying principle remains the same. Life depends on the continuous integration of systems, circulation, respiration, and neural activity. When that integration is lost, whether slowly over hours or abruptly in seconds, the result is the same transition. Eventually, regardless of how death begins, the body reaches a point where it can no longer sustain itself. The heart's rhythm becomes erratic, then stops. Without circulation, oxygen delivery ceases entirely. Within seconds, brain activity begins to decline sharply. Within minutes, widespread neuronal failure occurs. This stage is often referred to as clinical death, the point at which heartbeat and breathing have stopped. Yet even here, the story is not entirely over. For a brief window, cells throughout the body remain alive. Some continue metabolic activity for minutes, others for hours. This is why modern medicine can sometimes intervene, restarting the heart, restoring circulation, and reversing what once seemed irreversible. But beyond a certain point, as oxygen deprivation persists, damage becomes permanent. Brain cells, in particular, are among the most vulnerable, and their loss marks the transition toward what is known as brain death, the irreversible end of all brain function. What is striking about this entire process is not its violence, but its inevitability. Whether death comes slowly, like a fading light, or suddenly, like a system interrupted mid-motion, the body follows the same biological truth. It depends on balance, on flow, on continuous function. And when that continuity breaks, the systems that once defined life begin, one by one, to fall silent. In the end, what happens in the body when life fades is not a single event, but a transition, a movement from complexity to simplicity, from coordinated systems to stillness. It is a process governed not by fear, but by biology, a final chapter written in the language of cells, signals, and time. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Your engagement helps the channel grow and helps these ideas reach more curious minds just like yours. Let us know on the comment what topics you'd like to see next, because in science, there's always more of this and that to discover. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.